Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs, Cameron Ciraldo named for 5 years. What does this mean? Well, the media are going to say lots of things. This is going to mean, and people will assume Burton will be re-signed and extended because Ciraldo came across. To me, it wasn't a deal breaker. We're going to get they'll link every Penrith player under the sun coming to the Bulldogs. Probably mainly fringe players at this point. Maybe Charlie Staines, who we don't want. Or Jamin Salmon, the gutter dog. You know, if they come to the Dogs, I hope they do well, but I don't think they will. And there'll be some others that they link to the club. Stephen Crichton will be another one. Probably for 24. So let's look at it. What is the other things does this mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means that I'd say there's about 50% of fans who will be sitting there essentially expecting the Dogs to start competing for finals next year at a very minimum. Or Ciraldo and the board and everyone will be under a lot of pressure to keep their jobs. He's not going to be given 5 years to turn the club around. He'll be given 5 years to have us in top 4, top 2. If they start competing for finals next year and hit finals within 2 years, I'd say that'll be the minimum expectation and acceptance for majority of Bulldogs fans, from what I'm hearing. But there'll be a lot of people waiting to say, I told you so, to the club and to whoever else. That won't be me. I'm just purely worried about what, if a rebuild takes the time it needs to take. You know, potentially got a pretty small side next year, lacking depth in the middle forwards, as in big middle forwards. Hopefully they continue to increase that depth as we move forward. But got some big edge back rowers, which are a big threat. Tavita moves to the prop. So we might as well get behind it, get excited. I guess we find out what's happening with Luke Thompson, who himself's a pretty small front rower. He's not the biggest front rower we've ever seen. Good leg speed and that, but he's been absolutely no value to us whatsoever, especially this year with his head knocks. But in saying that, he's given opportunities for others to play. There's always a silver lining. So, Cameron Ciraldo, Canterbury Bulldogs coach for 5 years. Hopefully we see some Bulldogs DNA in the coaching staff. You never know, Sandercock may stay on. He may keep on people like Mick Potter. He may bring Jim Dymock to the club, who knows? I don't know what Jim wants to be a permanent assistant coach his whole life. But I would welcome him back to the club. You know, we've got the makings of a strong spine there. We've got Paley Biondi-Odo, and I just hope he doesn't come in and think he needs to replace everyone in the club, because it didn't work with Barrett for that very reason. Barrett needed to improve. You can't win with a shitty spine or an inexperienced spine. We've all seen that. You know, look at the Gold Coast this year. If they had Foran and Verrills this year, with the youth they've got, they may have well played a lot better. I expect they'll go better next year if they're not destroyed by the year they've had this year. But for us, 6 or 7, maybe 8 wins for the season, which is a big improvement on the previous year. Hopefully that turns into, 12 or 13 wins next year and competing for finals. That's what the fans are going to expect and want. And Cameron Ciraldo will need to deliver on that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we're in for some more rough days and weeks and months ahead. And I think that, you know, if we get 10 or 11 wins next year, that would be acceptable. That would be continued improvement. And I'd be hoping that fans are in agreement on that for the majority, because what happens at the Bulldogs if the fans don't want to wait any longer? The fans don't want to be sitting there hearing the word rebuild over and over and over. But unfortunately, that's where we're at. The current rebuilds haven't worked. The foundations weren't repaired, so they've had to start again and again. And that's just the way it is. But unfortunately, what that means is the board will be under pressure if Ciraldo doesn't get enough wins next year, and if our play isn't good enough for a lot of next year. So that's where we're at. That's what it means. Dogs need to perform under Ciraldo. We need to start competing for finals. We need a minimum of 10 or 11 wins, and to be playing well, and to be meeting expectations. If not, it's going to mean a fair bit of potential aggro from the fans towards the board, and we all know what happens to boards when their paycheck comes under threat. Sometimes they move away from the long-term plan and go into self-perseverance mode and start taking short-term, easier options. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks for the suggestions, the banter, everything. Take care.